Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a post from a person who is feeling really stuck in their current situation. She's got a lot of ideas of what she might want to do, but isn't quite sure which direction to go. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say. Hello, everyone. My first time on Reddit, so please be kind. As you can see in the title, I'm a 24-year-old female who has been working in sales in the beauty industry for 8 years and needs a new career path. I am naturally very creative and very sociable, so working as a makeup artist in sales was an easy job for me. This means that I climbed the ladder quite fast within the company, becoming a senior makeup artist, with which my role consisted of creating and training education for other staff members on makeup skills and customer service, planning and hosting events and master classes for customers, and staying on top of trend forecasting, to list a few roles. However, I find the sales side of the role very draining, reaching sales targets, etc., and due to the outbreak, they have now had to close my store and I have been made redundant. I am currently very financially unstable and have had to move back in with my family. Am now at an age I would like to find a career that pays well than just a job to get by. I am at a complete loss as I feel I am such a creative person and not at all intellectual, and university just does not appeal to me at all as I feel I will really struggle. To list a few of my interests, I love to teach, although only to adults interested in the subject and not high school or younger. I tried to look into becoming a makeup tutor, but in London, where I live, I cannot find a makeup tutor role without it being a beauty therapist, aka nails, waxing, hair, etc., which I have no interest or skill in. I love all things spiritual and advice. My friends would describe me as a wise old owl. They come to me for an unbiased advice or spiritual guidance where they can see things from both perspectives. One of my friends recently told me I should be a life coach, hilarious with me writing this for myself now. I wanted to study psychology, but was told in my first lesson in college that I wouldn't enjoy it because I wasn't academic and I should leave now. So I did. I love to paint, but just know I'm not good enough to ever make money from it. Talent management. My friend is an Instagram influencer and sometimes talks of his managers, and the role does interest me. However, I have no experience in marketing, and all jobs internships I have looked at either require a qualification or previous experience. Acupuncture, alternative beauty. This one I'm a bit unsure of what to call it. It would be facial acupuncture, cupping, crystal healing, etc., but with more beauty focus rather than medicinal approach. This is inspired by my father, who has his own osteopathy and acupuncture practice, and he has always said he sees the potential in me becoming a beauty practitioner with a spiritual approach, if that's how you can put it. Sorry this is so long. I'm at a total loss of what to do. I feel like saying a jack of all trades, master of none. Any and all advice on what you think I should look into is welcome. Thank you, your super struck friend, Fion. So, Fion, I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize, but I have a challenge for you, actually. You said that, a lot of your friends come to you for advice and, questions and things like that. So if one of your friends came up to you and asked you this exact same question that you're asking, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them to help them feel more in control of their situation? Would you tell them to take a step back and analyze what's actually in front of them? Would you remind them that they have a lot of great talents and just might need to think outside the box a little bit more? Maybe you tell them that one reason they feel stuck is because they're feeling like they have just no control over the things going on in their life, and the uncertainty of the future is making it hard for them to have clear goals. So they might have to start with something small that gets them motivated and on that path forward. When people feel stuck sometimes, it's hard to get motivated because they have so many things they want to do. Once they start down one path, they worry that if it's the right one, so they stop and they try another path, and then they're like, is that the right one? And it just goes on and on and on until they get so stressed out they don't even want to go in any direction anymore. They just stop. Other times, when people don't see an end goal, they don't know which path is right because they're afraid of making a wrong decision. And in other times, trying something new that they've never done before is terrifying, and the fear of failure overwhelms them, especially if it's something they've been doing, for a long period of time. So does any of this sound familiar? So the first thing you should do is figure out, not what you want to do, but why you feel stuck. You mentioned you wanted to use your creativity, but what does that even really mean? Makeup and beauty and all that is just the tool you use to express your creativity, but what is it that drives your need to be creative? Is it to help other people? Is it to tell a story? Is it some need to be heard? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And once you can answer why you need to be creative, you can answer what you can do to express that creativity much more easily. If it's to help other people because you're passionate about people feeling better about themselves, you can gear your choices towards an industry where you work to serve others. If it's a need to tell a story or inspire others, you might want to move to an industry where you have the opportunity to help others tell their stories. And, whatever that reason is, that's your first step in feeling more in control. The great part about being creative is that industries are no longer just out to sell a product. I mean, yes, businesses are in businesses to sell products, but, many companies now want to sell a product through telling a story. They want to change lives and have a cause. So here's an example. Think about the company Dove. On the surface, they just make and sell soap, but their ads are all about helping women find their inner beauty. Selling soap is just the way they do that. So think about when you're considering your beauty and spiritual wellness ideas, you're not just selling them a product or a way of like, okay, if you do this, you'll feel good. You're selling them an idea that's going to help them feel happier and more spiritually whole as a person. When I worked in the recreation industry, we would say, if I was putting out swim lessons, right? We would market it and say, I'm not just selling swim lessons. I'm teaching a child a skill that they can use for the rest of their life and maybe even save their life. I'm teaching them to build self-confidence and teaching them to overcome their fears, because that's what they're really doing in swim lessons. Swim lessons is just a way that they learn to overcome fear or try new things. When we had soccer, games and stuff, we wouldn't just say we're watching kids play soccer. We were saying we're not just watching kids play soccer. We're watching families bond as their kids learn teamwork and discipline. You see how, if you approach a situation with a different mindset, you'll come to a very different conclusion. Start small. Think about where you want to be in 6 months, in a year. What path is going to make that happen? Again, you don't have to have that exact path set in stone, but it's a starting point. And starting is often the hardest part. You can always change the path later on as your goals change. And don't discount school yet. There's a lot of things you can do with a background in sales, and makeup and beauty and all that stuff. Have you considered something, completely different that you haven't tried? Maybe even like costume design for like a production, you may really actually enjoy marketing or graphic design. If you haven't, consider going to a local community college or tech school. I don't know what they're called in the UK, but something like that. And talk to an advisor. A lot of those schools have advisors that specialize in talking to people who are looking for a non-traditional career or come from a non-traditional, route. College isn't all academic anymore. It's a very different world out there. You just have to find the right school and the right, industry. So don't discount that yet. It's not just a place for overeducated, so-called intellectuals, and it's all stuffy and all that stuff. And in the meantime, consider a YouTube channel where you teach people makeup tutorials. You don't need a certificate to do that on YouTube. You can offer some wellness tips as well, and kind of play with all those different ideas you have and see what works together and what doesn't. It will give you the freedom to try things as you'd like with no pressure. So my challenge to you is to think about what drives your creativity. Then think about a short-term goal that you can start working towards. Don't worry too much about the detail. They'll come after you start, that'll come after you start. But again, first you have to start. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check me out. My website is www.pbeatty.com. That's www.p as in Paul, B as in boy, A as in apple, D as in dog, Y as in yellow.com, and download my free ebook, which is actually a guide on how to solve problems and overcome challenges. And it's actually geared towards people in your situation, so you may find it very useful. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon.